Nancy Gutierrez is premier legislator for LD18, as well as Chris and um, and then she also is a fantastic teacher at Tucson High School. I don't even need my notes to say wonderful things. Nancy's going into her, is it your fourth year in the legislature?
Yeah.
And you're minority leader?
Assistant, yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Assistant minority leader. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen. So, we're so proud of the great work you do.
Thank you.
There's times we empathize with you with the things that you have to put up with your Republican colleagues, but you have a way of keeping us informed, and knowledge is power. So
Yes.
on that note, Nancy, take her away.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody it's great to be back with you. And I can feel your empathy and support in Phoenix and know that you all are rooting me on as you have since Mike was my very first interview as a candidate. And so, deep roots with the Democrats of Greater Tucson, and I always appreciate you all so much. So thank you. Yeah, so we just ended session only 3 weeks ago, which is crazy to think about. Seems like forever ago, and yesterday at the same time. We had some really great wins this session and some not so great losses. And every single session that I've been there, people say, oh, well, this is the craziest session we've had. And it just keeps getting crazier and more contentious. And I hope that soon it will not be that way, because it really doesn't serve the people of Arizona to be fighting over crazy, MAGA, destructive bills. And that's what we do mostly at the Arizona State House. So I thought I'd just give you a quick overview of the session and the budget wins. And can you hear me okay? I have my AirPods in, but they sound okay. Super. Thank you. Let me know if you can't. So as far as the session, we did lose a couple seats in the Arizona State House, and we are now at a 27-33 ratio. So that was a little disappointing. Well, that was a lot disappointing, but we're already looking for candidates in key areas to be able to take at least a tie, but we really want to have we want to be in charge in the Senate and the House, and it is a doable situation. So the reason we want to be in charge is we only got about 7% of our Democratic bills even seen in a committee this session, which is terrible. I mean, that's certainly not, you voted us in so that we could get our bills heard. So it was about 7%. And of that 7% that actually got a committee hearing, there were under 10 Democratic bills that actually were passed this session in the House. And that is completely unacceptable. It's just not, it's not how government should work. I had a bill that got a hearing. It was to make reduced lunches free. So without this bill, there are free lunches that students qualify. There's a middle group of students that get a reduced lunch free. And those are students, a family of four, making no more than $60,000. And then there's the rest of the students who pay full price for school lunches, which is about $3 to $4 a lunch. My bill would have taken away that reduced price and had everyone who qualifies for reduced be free. And that went through Education Committee. Great, only a couple no votes. It went through Appropriations Committee, same thing. It went through the Cal Committee of the Whole, and then it never got a third read vote. So this is the kind of thing that we deal with. Even though there was full bipartisan support, the Republican leadership just did not put it on an agenda to be voted for. I did get it into the budget, and I told them I would. The majority leader called me into his office one day and said, "I just want to make sure that you're not mad about your bill not being." And I said, "Well, I'm mad, but why do you care? You know, I mean, like, why are we doing this? I'm an adult." And he said, "Well, I just don't want you to be mad." And I mean, it was just a very interesting interaction. I was like, "Okay, great. You don't want me to be mad. Super. I'm going to get this in the budget anyway." And he just kind of looked at me, and I was like, "Yeah, it's going to happen. So you just made it harder for me to do it. No problem. Are we done?" And he was like, "Yeah, we're done." So, yeah, they don't know who they're dealing with apparently yet, but I keep showing them. So anyway, a huge win that we got was for our developmentally disabled community. The Republicans were not wanting to okay a supplemental funding bill that they needed, especially for their parents as paid caregivers program. And this program really took off during COVID because what we discovered was no one was willing to come into homes and help developmentally disabled kids or adults. And so parents who had developmentally disabled children were able to then be paid as caregivers for their children. Now there are a lot of hoops that they have to go through. They have to go through training, but basically they are doing physical therapy, occupational therapy, some nursing skills, and they are trained to do this and they get paid. And the Republicans wanted to take that away completely. And some of these folks do this in their home because, number one, there aren't the caregivers. Arizona doesn't have enough caregivers. And some of these kids and adults would need to be institutionalized because they require that level of care. Well, Arizona doesn't have those institutions anymore either. So there is literally nowhere for these people to go and be cared for. And the Republicans wanted to take that funding away that gives them this constant care that they need. And that was just going to be unacceptable to me and to other members. So the developmentally disabled community are among the fiercest advocates that I've ever seen. And I'm a public school teacher, so I've seen some fierce advocacy. And they partnered up with me and with Representative Julie Willoughby, who is a Republican, and we had them coming to the House every single day and sharing their stories. And in the end, she and I were able to negotiate a deal that the governor's office called a miracle. And that was really exciting for us and for the developmentally disabled community. And then in the budget negotiations, the Republicans tried to do the exact same thing that they had already failed at, and we didn't allow them to do that. So they got their full funding for caregivers and for the programs. So that was exciting. It was truly a bipartisan budget. We had 20 members of our Democratic caucus vote yes for the budget. It was my first time voting yes on a budget. And I have to tell you, the process was completely different this year. As the House leadership team, we worked with Governor Hobbs's team and her new budget advisor, Ben Henderson, and we were involved from the very beginning with those negotiations. The House Republicans took themselves out of these talks. Representative Livingston, who is the chair of appropriations, just went ahead and went to Michigan for a couple weeks for his vacation. And they kind of just took their toys and went home because they didn't like that we were being involved. But through some struggles, we got some great things like we got the opportunity weights for our public schools put back into the budget, and that was about $66 million. We got the school meals reduced. And one of the things that we were really excited about, me especially as a teacher, was we got the aggregate expenditure limit, which is a 1980s limit that is put on school districts. We got it waived for 2 years. which means we will not have to deal with that, which holds our public schools hostage next year in an election year. So that was incredible. We funded $2 million for the Arizona Arts Commission. We, in Health and Human Services, there were no harmful reforms in access like they wanted. We put $7 million into the area agencies on aging. So in Pima County, that's Meals on Wheels for folks. That's certain programs for blind adults. We gave money to our extended foster care system. And let's see, legal aid. The Republicans would not acquiesce to any spending for the for LIHTC or the Housing Trust Fund. So we went ahead and said, okay, if we can't put money there, and there already is money and federal money, we put money into legal aid to help people stay in their homes and not be evicted, into homelessness prevention services, in $2 million into our refugee services, and then also money for people to eat, double up food bucks, sun bucks, and tribal healthcare investments. We put money into childcare, so we're going to cut the childcare wait list for families by 50% this year. We also helped the governor create a Homes for Heroes, which specifically targets veteran homelessness. Let's see. We put an extra $34 million into the Promise program, which is for students, Arizona students who qualify for Pell Grant. So these are the most financially needy of students. An additional $9 million into the Arizona Teacher Academy. And for the first time ever, started the Arizona Community College Promise program. So that means that students who qualify, and this is a need-based qualification, there will be $3 million worth of funding for them to have full ride scholarships to community colleges, which we know community colleges are the backbone of our society. We've got some rural investment in economic and tourism. And then with water, we funded $9 million to the WIFA augmentation. We did $3 million to protect our Colorado River funding. So that'll go towards litigation. We funded $20 million for the VOCA backfill, so victims of crime. Let's see, this is a lot of numbers. We got state firefighters a 15% raise. They haven't had raises in a long, long time. And really what was great about this, there was money that was in the budget, in the previous budget, that would have given state money and reimbursed police departments that had contracts with ICE. So like Mesa Police Department contracts with ICE to do some of their work. I almost said dirty work, but work. And this was state money that was going to reimburse them. And we got that completely taken out of the budget. So they are not getting Arizona state funds to fund ICE. There were Democrats who did not like the GITM language in the budget. GITM language is a gang enforcement monies. And the language is horrific and very SB 1070 and very racist. We were not going to get that language out of the budget. It has been in the budget for decades. But what we did was cut the amount of funding that went to any sort of border or immigration funding. We funded the local community police to do their jobs, which is not border deportations. So overall, we were very, very proud of the budget. It's not perfect. We didn't get all the things we wanted, but we got many more things that we have in the past. So I don't just want to talk at you. So that's the budget in a wrap. But I'm happy to take questions or talk about things that you want me to talk about instead of just?
Sure. We'll have everybody consider raising their hand electronically. You're going to go down to the bottom row and click on reactions, and then you can click on raising your hand. The other thing is Mike Bryan will be overseeing the chat, and if you want to type your chat, he'll voice it for you. And but I'll lead off with a question, and that is, what were the key strategies? Because it seems like the House got a lot more accomplished than it has for quite a while.
Yep, absolutely. Our strategy, thank you for that question, Joe. Our strategy was to be ready for the budget, to know where our caucus stood on our priorities, so that when we went to the negotiating table, we knew exactly where we were at. So we started with a retreat in December. Our caucus priorities were very clear for us. And then in February, we started budget talks with our caucus. So we went through each kind of bucket of the budget, talked about how our priorities came to be, and what we wanted in the budget. And we put out surveys to all of our members after each of these meetings. You know, would you vote for this in the budget? Would this be your deal breaker? And so going into April negotiations, we had all of those buckets listed, and we knew exactly where our caucus stood. And that was what kept us at the table, because we knew the votes we had within a margin, and we knew what our caucus stood for. And we just were not going to let up on anything. So, which leads me to that next question I see in the chat.
Yeah, I was just going to pose that. Yeah, Ron wants to know, any chance of getting rid of these ESA vouchers or even reducing them in the very slightest?
Yeah, I love that question. I mean, I ran for office because of ESA vouchers and how horrific they are. And the answer, quite frankly, is no. I mean, there is not one Republican who will vote yes on any kind of voucher reform. And that is, I could lie and tell you, but that's the truth. And they have the majority. So that is how important flipping our state legislature is, because we cannot get, I mean, we had dozens of bills asking for voucher reform, from itty bitty tiny things to the governor's proposal this year was to put an income cap, which is very logical and very easy. And they absolutely would not even hear one bill for voucher reform.
In fact, I think at the end, the suggestion was to cap it at $1 million of income per year, and they wouldn't even agree to that.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is not logical. It is $1 billion runaway system that we are funding with tax dollars for people to buy KitchenAid mixers and vacations. And there is no, they don't have to prove that their students are learning. They don't have to prove where they spend the money, really. Anything under $2,000 is automatically approved, which means they can get Amazon gift cards and never say how they used it. I mean, it's atrocious, but it is part of Project 2025, and Arizona has been ripe for this, you know, and been setting this up for decades. So we are never going to give up. So I say no, but that doesn't mean we've given up. We are still fighting to do that, but there's not one Republican that will vote for vote for any of that.
Democrats will run on this issue in 26 because the public does not like vouchers either. 70% of Arizonans disfavor the ESA voucher program, and so I certainly hope it becomes a
absolutely
of our attempt to take over the legislature and our attempt to get our governor reelected.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will.
Okay, Tim Sultan has a question. Tim,
well, just following up
Hi,
on
Tim.
Hi, Nancy. You're my representative, so I'm so proud of you. You're an LD18.
Thank you.
Just following up on that, Mike, your question about if the voters 70% approve of ESA reform and it's the legislature that's blocking it, can we, Nancy, do a ballot proposition to do that and have the voters make the decision?
Well, that's such a great question, Tim. The voters did actually make the decision a few years ago. We voted against these vouchers. And then that very next session, the Republicans went ahead and voted them in. So,
Oh,
yeah. And we could do a citizens initiative, but that costs so much
yeah.
money. And truly, what our 2018, thanks, Lucy. Of course, you know that. Of what our real education fight is going to be this next session is Prop 123. So
Okay.
Prop 123 is over $200 million a year that we get from the state lottery money, and it goes directly to education. And all of our public school districts use it and need it, but it's renewed every 10 years. And so we need to put a ballot initiative up to renew it. And this year, we didn't do it this year. What they were trying to do was they wanted to put vouchers into the state constitution on the Prop 123 renewal, which was going to be absolutely terrible. And we, along with our partners, our education partners, and even our education lobbyists, and it really was lobbyists that helped stop this. We got the Republicans to be so disorganized within themselves about it that they weren't able to do that. So we are looking for a clean continuation of Prop 123. And that's what we'll be working on to go to the voters in 26. And with that, we are going to need all of our amazing organizations to help us get a yes on that.
It sounds, Nancy, like we need to win over the majority in the legislature. Like that's really the way to do this.
1000%. That is
Yeah.
exactly what we need to do. Yep.
I was experimenting with raising my hand, and I'm not seeing any other hands that are raised.
I see one. Lee, older.
And I have,
Okay, Lee, go for it. Yeah, Lee, you have to unmute yourself.
I'm
There you
working
go.
on it.
There we
Yeah.
go.
There
There we
we
go.
go.
Yay.
I couldn't get it.
You
I
got it.
heard you say something the other night at the Brother John's about we need to replace all the Republicans in the House with Democrats, which is a wonderful idea. But I couldn't hear the answer on how that should be done. And you were saying something, but I just could not hear it.
Yeah, of course. Okay, I know politicians aren't usually honest, but I'm going to be honest. We are not going to replace every Republican with a Democrat. But what we can do is we have targeted districts, and we are so we're targeting them, and we are going to go back to our single shot method, which means if there are 2 seats in the House and they have 2 Republicans, we're running 1 Democrat to take one of those seats, because that way they're fighting for the 2 seats while we target just 1. And we're doing that work through the ADLCC. I'm on the board. Priya is a board president. She's the co-president. And that is our entire goal, is to flip our state legislature. So what we do is we raise money, we work with national partners, we work with local partners to target those districts, get media, knock on doors. We hire each of those candidates a district, not manager, but a campaign manager, a finance manager, and a staff, a small staff. But we also work with the local LDs, because as you well know, it is our local legislative district folks that are the backbone, and we need them organizing with the coordinated campaign. And when I say coordinated, I mean just legislative. The governor will have her own coordinated campaign, and we'll talk with them about it, but they don't make our decisions for us. And that's how we're going to do it all over the state. And so we we are in that process right now.
And how are you choosing the targeted districts?
It's all about the statistics. And so if there is a district like, let's see, like LD, well, no, we could. The Prescott Payson district, you know, that is so incredibly red, and it is gerrymandered to be what, 70% red.
Sure.
We're going to run a candidate, but we're not going to, that's not going to be one of our targeted candidates, because it's good to run a Democrat in every single LD, certainly, but we can't put millions of dollars there when we know it's statistically impossible pretty much to win.
So
I just, what I'm getting at is, I know single shots seem to work in one of the districts around here, like 17 or whichever. I
Yep.
get them mixed up.
Yeah, we're
17. You got it.
17, and that was beautiful, but
Yes.
it hasn't in the past say 20 years, hasn't been relayed to the public, to the Democratic voters, exactly how it works. So it was confusing to people when they voted. So I hope that we get information from 17 to see how that worked out, for how they managed it. Plus,
Well,
having a good candidate.
the candidate's name is Kevin Volk, and he was the best candidate, and he worked really hard. I mean,
but he also had the full support of the ADLCC. So
I
he
agree.
worked because the ADLCC put $1.5 million into his campaign, and like, for me, I was knocking doors for him, not me. Priya was knocking doors for him, not herself, because we have such, like, LD18 is so very blue, right? That with our incredible support of our LD and such incredible, you know, volunteers that were canvassing for us, then we were able to shift all of our time into 17. And the single shot, so the year in 24, they did a double shot. It was Dana Almond, and now I can't remember his name, but they lost.
Oh, the minister?
Yeah, Mike.
Mike Nichols.
Yeah, thank you. The double shots, just, there is a statistic way, they just don't get it. I mean, because if you run a single shot, because I see there was a question, the single shot gets everybody's message on one candidate. And that's how we flip those independents. And that's how we get all the Democrats to put all of their votes, so that they can get even close to the winning Republican. And
so you basically, a second Democratic candidate is discouraged from running?
Yes.
Yeah,
that helps.
Because also that
tactic, really. I mean, a lot of people don't like it, but you know, there is some track record of success.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
If it's worked in the last 40 years, then I would be very, very pleased with it as a strategy. I think it's more of a marketing problem. You know, Democrats are told, you know, vote for all the Democrats, don't leave a slot blank. And now we're saying we're only going to go for one candidate in one slot.
If there's only one candidate there, though, they can't vote for two. And that was probably why it worked a lot better.
Right. But that's great feedback to have. And I am going to take it back to the ADLCC board that our messaging needs to be clearer on that.
Right.
So I appreciate it.
So 23 was targeted last year. Do you think that's going to be targeted again?
Yes, absolutely. Yuma. Now that 23 is an example of where we need to have two, because there is no reason for a blue district to have a Republican representative. So thank you for clarifying that.
The Republicans have successfully used the single shot candidate.
Exactly right. Exactly. That's exactly what they've done. So we will have two candidates in 23. Yeah. So I don't want to say that it's all going to be singles.
The other race that a lot of resources were put into was LD16.
Yes, and we will be having a single shot candidate again.
And I think the strategy there, and it's always the strategy, is you really need to get a great candidate who represents the community.
You do, and Keith Seaman was a fantastic representative. However, he he voted a couple of votes with the governor and with the Democrats, and the Republican candidates just hammered him on that. And that's why he lost. It wasn't because he wasn't knocking doors every day. It wasn't because he wasn't known in the community. It was that, they just did a fantastic job of literally destroying what he actually did. And it was sad to see because we miss him.
And it was a
He
bad
was a-
year for us. I mean, we
And
lost
yes.
100,000 Democrats in our registration, and we just had lower turnout than we expected, and it was a presidential
And it
year.
was
We
the
lost.
Trump, right? I mean, there was a Trump effect,
Yeah, all
certainly.
the above. We do have a question in the chat that I think is really important, and that's what impact will the removal of the Federal Department of Education have on Arizona? I think there's both budgetary and programmatic impacts, if you want to go over that.
Yeah, there are, and we're still trying to go through that. But basically, the Department of Education nationally they're in charge of making sure that the states are doing a good job of educating their special needs students, and they're doing it equitably because racially equitably. And so we are already seeing that Arizona doesn't want to do that. That's why we have vouchers, is to deliberately take money out of public schools. And so it will be bad for our lowest socioeconomic schools. And the president's already illegally kept federal money from our schools, which affect after school programs, both for childcare and for tutoring and learning opportunities. So it's horrific to the public school system. And the Department of Education also is in charge of school loans and Pell Grants that serve our most underserved students. So I'm very concerned about that. And our staff is going through that whole HR1 bill as we speak to make sure that we know exactly where those cuts will come. But it's really the people impact and the equity impact that's going to be detrimental.
Yeah, one of the things that the Department of Education does that I'm very concerned about is the IDEA EA program, which is for,
Yes.
individual learning programs for kids with learning disabilities or disabilities in general.
Yeah.
They actually follow through and make sure that those programs and those services offered to those kids actually are having an impact and doing the work. Whereas voucher kids here in Arizona, they can get up to $40,000 in a voucher if they're profoundly disabled, and there's absolutely no follow through to check of whether or not those programs or those monies are actually having a positive impact on those kids.
Exactly right.
Very problematic.
Exactly right. And that's per student, not per household.
Yeah.
So that if you have 3 kids who happen to be on the autism
20,000.
spectrum, that's $120,000 a year.
Yeah. Okay, I figured out how to get out of no-hand situations. So Bridget, you have a question?
Hi, Bridget.
I think Lucy might be ahead of me.
Oh, okay. Lucy, ready to go?
Go ahead, Bridget.
Bye.
I'll go after you. Go ahead, Bridget.
You,
right.
you all are so courteous, I'll tell you.
Not generally.
All right. Nancy, I'd like to go back to the ADLCC for a moment because I have to believe that the ADLCC is also working with Arizona List to turn the legislature blue.
Mhm.
And you and I and many people on this call know how effective Arizona List can be across the
Absolutely.
state. So am I correct in saying that you all are working very closely with Arizona List?
Yes, thanks, Bridget. Yes, I mean, Arizona List is the reason I knew how to be a candidate, and they are fantastic. And yes, we absolutely are. We're working with Arizona List. We're working with AEA and all the teachers unions with Save Our Schools. Yes, 100%. I think the difference, well, there are differences, but sometimes this candidate happens to be a man. And I know that the Arizona List absolutely supports men. So I want to be clear about that. But, yes, but we cannot afford to be an island. And I think just like the Arizona List does a great job of, it's not about who flips the ledge, it's about flipping the ledge. So yes, fantastic partners.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. You bet.
Bridget, just full disclosure, you used to be on the board, or are you currently on the board of Arizona List?
Oh, I'm not on the board any longer, but I was on the board for close to 10 years.
Yep.
So- And I
Yep.
still,
That's how we met.
yes, and I still promote the organization and make sure everybody is well aware of the work it does.
Yes, and they do work statewide and top to bottom of the ticket as well, which is so crucial because those school board races, yeah, they are so important. So, yep.
Okay,
Okay.
Lucy, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Lucy.
I'm going to change the subject just a teeny bit because I just want your feedback. I want your comment, your opinion on the state party. And, I was part of that on Wednesday night. And I have to say, I am totally relieved that we're moving forward. But just kind of your opinion.
Okay. I am relieved that we are moving forward as well. I have stayed behind the scenes in a lot of that. One, because I am on the board of the ADLCC, and we did choose to move away from the Arizona Democratic Party and move to Navajo County. So we're no longer being housed under Arizona Democratic Party. We are being housed under Navajo County, and that's just because of the rules, and we are not our own entity. But that move was because of Mr. Branscombe and how he operated with our staff and our finances, to be honest. So
That was actually, I was going to go further. If the possibility of going back to the Democratic Party because of the, potential new leadership, etc.
we're not right now. We have to move forward. We can no longer just wait for the ADP to get things going and moving. It's too late. Like we just have to have a reliable place to move from, and Navajo County was willing to do that. And that's also where the Copper State Victory Fund is going to. So yeah.
And that includes the statewide electeds, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that clarification. That was my question.
You
Thank
bet. Of course.
Okay, lots
have a
of good
question with that.
questions.
Yeah. Elaine wants to know what's the status of the Arizona Department of Housing audit. They have been responsible for managing complaints from owners of mobile homes and manufactured homes. Who will be responsible for enforcing laws regarding mobile homes versus park owners if Arizona DOH is dismantled by the state?
That's a great question. So in the budget, we got the Arizona Department of Housing renewed for, I think it was 2 years, and that was a budget win as well. So for the next 2 years, we will have a Department of Housing, and that was truthfully one of the other reasons where we wanted to take our budget funds and make sure that they were implementable. And so the Republicans definitely wanted to dismantle the Department of Housing, and we can't because it is crucial. So yes, it is continued. we will keep going through, but honestly, I think it's AG Mays who will do a lot of that process. You know, if the housing folks are not having the air conditioning that they're required to do, if they are breaking the law. I just saw a commercial or a video with AG May saying, if you are having problems with your landlord, if your thermostat's above 82 degrees, call my office and we will look into it. So thank God for Arizona, for Arizona Mays, for AG Mays, because I'm telling you something, if we do not reelect Katie Hobbs, Chris Mays, and Adrian Fontes, I don't even want to think about it. It will be detrimental.
It'll be a disaster.
Okay, Mike, anything else in the chat?
Yeah, Rod had a question about ranked choice voting. He wants to know if any progress has been made in the last session. I think I can answer that. Hell no. Republicans are very hostile to the program, but of course, here in Arizona, we have what's known as local home rule. You know, you can have a charter for a city and choose your own electoral system. And so we have the possibility that cities or counties, there could be charter counties, but there are not any at this point, but there could be, in which, you know, local jurisdiction could adopt ranked choice voting as their preferred method of electing candidates.
And Republicans come after our Tucson City charter every single session. They hate it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done something to try and eliminate charters from the Constitution.
Oh, they have. They've tried them. Mm-hmm.
Well, news to me. Thank you for heading that off.
Yes.
I have one more clarification question for Nancy, and a possible suggestion that I'd like to get some response to. One is, are you the co-chair of ADLCC now, or just serving on the board?
Serving on the board. It's Priya Sundaration, Senator Priya Sundaration, and Representative Oscar de los Santos, who is the leader, minority leader. So they are the co-chairs, and I'm on the board.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so my suggestion that I'd like to get some feedback on is, now that we're out of session and many of our representatives have a little bit of spare time, maybe, is I'm wondering if it would be of any use whatsoever to hold shadow hearings on the budget, to sit down with all the stakeholders in the state, as you know, the minority party, and all the relevant committees that would normally hear testimony about budget suggestions, for the Democrats to just, you know, actually make a suggested budget that actually, you know, highlights our priorities for the state, and have hearings on them in communities across the state as, you know, basically shadow committees, and model that behavior of going back to regular order for budget hearings, and instead of, you know, negotiating in the back room, as it were, which has become the norm under the Republicans for the past, you know, 30-40 years, and even now that we have divided government, you know, our governor hasn't really pushed back on that very hard. So I wonder if that suggestion is amenable.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take it back to leadership at the House. A couple things that we're doing that's similar. Lucha is doing a statewide budget tour. They were in Tucson a couple weekends ago, just trying to get out to communities who, you know, aren't always necessarily, you know, they're working families. They don't have time to think about what's going on at the Capitol, and telling them about what we got into the budget. And then right before this call, I was on another call. As a caucus, we are going to be going around the state. I think we're going to start in Navajo County, in communities, promoting what we got in the budget as wins, and having people come out, and then broadcasting those, doing some videos of, hey, these are the Democrats delivered, right, for our communities, not for corporations necessarily, or rich Arizonans, but actually for our working Arizonans. So we're on the same page, certainly, but I'll take that back.
Yeah, this would be more prospective for next year's budget. as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to Celebrating
Yep.
this year's budget, which did have some wins in it for us, but
yeah,
in general,
Okay.
of course, these budgets are always disappointing.
right. Yep.
Okay, Lillian Fox has her hand up.
I think it's a grand idea for you to publicize what Democrats actually got, because I think people get really down on the Democratic Party because they think we're not accomplishing anything. So publicizing what you did is a good idea. I often don't agree with Michael Bryan, but on this thing, I do. I think if you, people have no clue what's in the damn state budget. If
Mhm.
you would, at the appropriate time, go around the state and do hearings on what you think should be in the budget and taking
Mhm.
suggestions from the public, I think that would be a winner. You wouldn't have to exactly model it on how that's done at the state legislature, but get out there to publicize, that we're
Yep.
listening and that we want to do things instead of, I think he had a really good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's hear it for Nancy. What a great program.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for being such a great leader and an advocate for all Democrats, all Arizonans.